Hello and welcome back to another day on the island hidden in the fog. Today we'll be working on the campsite, but first I want to show you all the work that I've been doing in our midnight flower field. It has taken me so many Nookazon deals and so many days of time traveling and watering flowers to get the field this full of purple, black, and blue flowers. We still need a handful of flowers left, but I think we have enough here already in the field that I can go ahead and start decorating a little bit. Mostly what we'll be doing today is customizing some of the objects we currently have placed and also rearranging them into places that just look a little bit better. At some point, I think I want to add a flower shop right here in this section of the flower field, but I'm not sure when I'll get around to it. Now let's get to work with a little mini speed build. First thing we'll do is remove this cliff that was left over from the house that used to be up there on the second tier, and then we'll fix the pathing and the fence that leads up to this staircase. I'm still undecided on if I want to add any white flowers into this midnight flower field. I think I'll probably wait until the flower field is completely finished and then maybe time travel to nighttime and place a few in and see if I like how that looks. Now I'm going to walk along the path through the field and see if there's anywhere that I want to add any more garden lanterns. I might need to remove a few flowers in order to do this, but that's okay because there's a few that are kind of a little too close to the path that I don't really like being there. The entrance was starting to feel a bit flat, so I added the plain party lights arch and I think that fixed the issue. But you probably already knew that from a couple of my previous videos where you could see that I had actually done this a little bit ago in those videos. After taking a break and struggling to pop a balloon to only receive the steamer basket set DIY, it was finally time to get back to work and place some custom codes underneath the garden lanterns. I do want all of the garden lanterns to be in the black swatch, and slowly throughout today I managed to get all of them customized to be black. I've noticed while editing my videos that I have kind of a chaotic build style. I don't tend to focus on one thing until it's done. I bounce around. Are any of you builders like this, or do you tend to go in with a plan and stick to it? Now we're in a good place to start rearranging some of the items that we currently have in the flower field, as well as add some new ones that I've managed to pick up on a couple Treasure Island trips. For some reason, trying to find the perfect spot for this garden gnome turned out to be way more difficult than I thought, but I did end up finding his forever home and placed a custom code underneath him before I moved on. I think I have become actually quite obsessed with these little mushroom circles, so I'm trying so hard not to overuse them, but I just want to put them underneath like every item. I've also managed to hunt down Flick a couple of times to give him some bugs to then have some models made. I'm not sure why, but I have made a rule for myself on this island that if it is an item that can be donated to the museum, I will not take it from a Treasure Island. I will actually find those on my own. And that includes the models from Flick and CJ, since you do have to use items that can be donated to the museum. I think once I have fully finished the fish and insect sections of the museum, then I'll allow myself to get models of those items from Treasure Islands. But so far, I only have the fossil section completed. I'm about to time travel to the next day where we'll do a little bit of a walkthrough with the current progress before we start working on another section of the island. It's the next day on the island, and luckily we have some great weather to look at our flower field. I think it's coming along great, even if it does look a bit flat right now since we don't have very much vertical height, but that'll change later. I just kind of want to get the base down for it and then we can start doing some builds in here. Now let's go grab some moving kits. Hello Tom, it's me again. I need your assistance. I would really like to get a bridge and I would like to get the campsite moving kit. I want this bridge to go over the river that's actually behind Nook's Cranny, and then I'll finally be able to run to and from my house without having to jump a river each time. Since I want the back half of the island to feel like it's on the outskirts of town or actually kind of far away from town, we're not going to go with the stone bridge or stone inclines like we would other places of the island, so I think the suspension bridge is the way we're going to go with this. Now that we've got both of our moving kits, let's go ahead and place the bridge first since that one won't take very long, and then we can time travel to the next day and see how it looks. I also remembered to grab enough bells to pay off this bridge right now, so that way when we do time travel to the daytime, it will get built because I kind of forget quite often to pay off my bridges and inclines. And now that the bridge is all paid off, I will see you tomorrow. It's the next day and it's a little rainy, but I'm still very excited to see the bridge. And I think it is the perfect bridge and perfect location for the bridge in this area. And now we can finally move on to building the campsite. We're really not moving it that far. It was actually just atop this cliff right behind us. The whole reason that we're actually moving the campsite is because I came up with a great backstory for it, and it needs to be here in order for that backstory to make sense. This is going to be your typical cozy campsite that is set towards the edge of an island near a forest that has some suspicious campfire stories about it. But they're just stories, right? We're definitely not at some point going to get a cranky villager to stick in the woods to be roaming around at night up to something that no one knows exactly what it is. Anyways, we finished the terraforming and we have the campsite placed, so let's get to decorating. This area that we have for the campsite is not that big, so unfortunately we can't put too many trees here to give that really forested effect that I wanted for this, but maybe if we put enough greenery up on the second level behind here, it'll kind of give the same feeling. We only have like 3 or 4 tiles in between the campsite and the waterfall, so I thought this would be the perfect spot to put some chopped firewood that the campsite villager can use. And we can't have firewood without having a fire pit. Since this is supposed to be a little bit more of a secluded campsite, they're not going to have a camp stove, so they're going to need to be cooking over the fire if they need food. And the campfire cookware item is just the perfect item for this build. Cute! And now we need somewhere to sit. I'm thinking the log stools and the stone stools are what I'll be using in the campsite. I think we'll place about 3 here around the campfire, and then maybe we can put a couple by the river. But before we do that, I want to place down the campsite sign because it is kind of large and I want to make sure that it's not going to be blocking anything visually too much. So I want to get that in place, then we can see how it looks with the chairs. Now that the sign is in, we can kick away these codes and plant a bush. So the other day I actually went to a treasure island and got all the items that I wanted to use for this build, and now today I don't actually want to use any of them. So I'm just gonna place the last couple of items that I currently have in my inventory that I do want to use, and then I'm gonna go to a treasure island to get more stuff. I'm just now realizing we have a green airport when an orange one would have fit the island theme so much better. But anyway, Sherb has a thought bubble, so this might mean that next time we're gonna be doing another villager hunt. I think I'll do what I did last time, where I have a set amount of tickets, and if I don't find our dreamy within those amount of tickets, then I'll travel to a treasure island and get them from there. While running around the treasure island, I found these cute stacked seed bags that I thought would be perfect for Nan's yard. So we're gonna go ahead and place those now, and then I'll need to find a new spot for the veggie basket. I want to place them near the vegetables so it looks like someone is currently picking them, but it just didn't look right, so I'm gonna place them on the table and we'll figure it out later. Now let's get back to decorating the campsite. I'm actually going to be swapping out the stone stools for log stools since we can't actually put that many trees here to give the forested effect. I need anything and everything that does give a forest effect in here, which includes flowers, encyclopedias, and lots of little animals. I think one thing I didn't grab enough of on the treasure island was these duck decoys. I love them so much and kind of want to put them everywhere that I can. Same with the garden bunnies. I also need some more of those too. Every campsite needs a clean source of water, so I'm going to be putting in a simple well and a garden faucet in front of it. That way the camper can easily fill up their water bottle or wash their dishes if they need to. I think it looks good how it's placed, so I'm going to remove them, put some custom codes underneath them, and then put them right back where they were. I think this spot next to the river bend would be the perfect place to put a log bench. But of course, I need to place some flower custom codes down before I place the bench. I think I might move that encyclopedia from the log stool to the log bench. Like someone was just hanging out here by the river trying to identify something and just left their book when they got up. I almost forgot that I wanted to put a water bucket near the well. So let's get this puddle placed because this tin bucket is very full of water and they definitely spilt some of this while filling it up. I'm really happy with how this is turning out so far. And I've got a few flowers to place. Now let's fill up any empty spot with some custom codes. I've also been saving this cute little radio for something, and I thought this would be the perfect build for it. And now we're going to try the pocketbook out on the log bench. I think it looks good there, so I'm going to move on to placing some pathing. I want this path to lead you from the bridge all the way to the campsite, but I don't want it to be straight, so I gotta put a little bit of a curve in it, but we don't have much room, so might be a little difficult to make this work. I really wanted to use the single tile path here, but since the bridge and the campsite have a 2 tile wide entrance, it's not gonna fit super well, so we're gonna go with the 2 tile wide path. And I finally managed to finish the path that took way longer than I thought it was going to. But we're just about done for today, so I'm gonna place the last few items and then I'm gonna get out of here. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me while we build another part of the island. And it would really mean a lot to me if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back next week with a villager hunt, and depending on how long that takes, we might even get around to decorating their yard too. Let's close this video out with possibly the shortest build walkthrough ever, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!